All right, good morning. We're going to make the base of the vertical shaft support today. So this is the part that we're looking at. So a couple things to point out on this. Think about first how you would even make this. There's this circle on the bottom and then it kind of tapers up as it goes. Some people might think the best thing to do first is to just make this disc because it's easy. You could extrude that and then try to loft to make this cone, but that's actually making it way harder than you actually need to. Instead, look at this section view on the right. What we could do instead is just make a single sketch of this crossed off area and we can revolve it around that center line. So we can do this entire part in a single feature. So I'm going to be working off of the iPad during this. And so when I get started, if you're on the computer, think about how you would do it on the computer instead, but I'm going to be working off of this screen. So to start, I'm going to create a new sketch, and I'm going to put it on the front plane. Really, it doesn't matter if you do the front or the right, because in the end it'll be identical. I'm going to two-finger tap and view normal to sketch plane. So now I'm looking at the side view exactly as it would be in this section view. So I'm going to start by making this center line, and it needs to be at least 4 inches. I would make it longer, so I'm going to make a center line that's 5 inches. So I'm going to click line and turn on construction, starting from the origin, and then I'm going to go up. And I'm going to go ahead and add a dimension to that and just make that 5 inches, just so that my dimensions are locked in, my scale is all locked in. Make that a 5-inch line. So it'll be a little 1 inch higher than what my object is. So next, I'm going to draw roughly this shape, and I'm going to start at this top right. Actually, I'm going to start at the bottom corner right here so that I can make it in line with the origin at the bottom. So I'm going to move this over a little bit so I can see both at the same time. Here's what I'm going to draw. A line, no construction tool. I'm clicking and holding it from the origin. I'm going to go to the right a little bit. See how the origin is still orange? It means it's lined up. So let's go right there. A second point horizontal, another point vertical, another one horizontal, but I don't want it to be a midline or anything. I don't want it constrained beyond horizontal. And it should be back just a little bit. Another line up at some angle. And make sure too, it is not perfectly above that point, right? We want it at some angle. Oh, and it did it anyways. Undo that line. Let's go back. It's right there. Then a horizontal line. Then a vertical line. Another horizontal line that's not constrained in any way. Oh, I need to zoom in. Okay, here we go. A line from there over, not constrained other than horizontal. And then lastly, back down to the point. Okay, so now we can start adding some dimensions. That's all the sketching we need to do. That's all the geometric constraints we need to do. From here, we can worry about the dimensions needed for the revolve. And so if you followed along with the videos before on the Onshape learning modules, it shows you how to do the diameters, but it can be kind of tricky. So what we have to do is if we click from one point, so I'm going to do this 4.75 inch diameter. If I click on the point and then the center line, like this, and then if I click and drag the dimension over to the side like that, see how now it's a diameter next to it? That's what we want. So then that should be a 4.75 inch diameter. The reason it's a diameter is we're going to revolve this later on, right? So let me do it again for this next one. So from that corner to the center line, I'm going to click and drag the dimension over off to the side, and this should be, oh, it's right on top. It should be 1.929, like that. Okay, so the next one, a 0.75 inch diameter from this point to the center line. And it already made it a diameter for me. That's good. 0.75, check. Okay, so then I need to do the top line next. It looks like the top line looks like a 1.493 is the outside point. So from there to the center line once again, click and drag the dimension over. That one should be 1.493. Okay, so next tricky part is, see how this line is over top of the center line? Let's click and drag it back. So do you see how I did that? I selected the line, and then there I just dragged my finger over like my cursor was. I clicked, and then I clicked and slid to slide that back. Okay, so the distance from that line to the center line is that 1.166. So from that point to the center line, that should be 1.166. Oh, did I mess part of this up? I did. I got my 0.75 in that dimension flip. So let's go ahead and flip these back. That should be 0.75. And this bottom one should be that one should be 1.166. Like that. Okay, so now the only thing we need now is our height dimensions. So if you look, we have this 0.75, that's a height right there. So that would be the length of that line. Then I need to do these bottom ones yet. So for here, we'll have to look at the other view. It says the little step is 0.31, and then the overall height is 4 inches. So that would be, this little step is 0.31. And then the height from the bottom line to the top line, the overall everything is 4 inches. All right, and I believe the very last thing we're missing, and it's implied, is that those two lines are actually parallel with each other. So let's go ahead and make the two angled lines. So let's click on this blue line and this black line and click on parallel. And now we've got it fully constrained. So we've got our sketch completely finished. We've used every single dimension on here. All that's left then is the revolve. So let's finish this sketch. I'm going to go back to my isometric view. And you can kind of see how this is going to take shape. So from here, in my extrude menu up at the top, I can click on revolve. I need to select the region first. So the region is that. The revolve axis then, because we want it to be hollow, right? The revolve axis is going to be that center line. There's our object. You can look through the other settings too. You want to make sure you're on new because it's your first part being created, right? Remember, add as if you were going to add onto a part that already exists. We're good. So let's go ahead and hit that check mark. There's our part. We're finished. We just need to do some little housekeeping things. So number one, we want to rename this part. This is our base. Let's go ahead and rename the part studio too. Looks like I'm working in bushing housing, but there's nothing there. When you start your next one, remember you can click on this blue arrow in the corner, click the plus, and then you can create a new part studio for your next one. And lastly, we need to assign a material. Remember, all of the parts should be a steel 1010. If you just type in 1010, it'll pop up. And last but not least, if you want to, I would change the appearance slightly, just so you can see the differences amongst all of the parts. So maybe if we make this one orange, sure. And that's it, guys. Good luck.